Progress can feel impossible. From having an autistic brother, to raising a deaf son with cochlear implants, or working with families as a neurotherapist, I've seen how overwhelming it can be to feel like nothing is changing. But life has taught me that growth is always within reach. Every brain can learn and adapt no matter the diagnosis, and believing in someone can shape their future. You see, you have a choice: to live a life weighed down by limitations, or to embrace a life filled with possibility. And I'm here to help you make that choice by sharing stories of caregivers and experts that have changed my life, the tools I wish I had known, and the conversations that have questioned my beliefs. I'm Leloa, and this is All Brains Grow. Hello, Yasso.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
You know, the reason why you're here today is that you're visiting from Dubai to Paris.
Yeah.
Because the school that you work in right now has a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in Paris, there's me and Milo.
Yeah.
We live here. And you and Namir, our other brother, live in Dubai.
Yeah.
And you live with the parents.
I live with the parents.
And we live alone in Paris.
They followed me.
Which is ironic. So whenever you come to Paris, you see me and you see Milo. You visited Milo at the restaurant the other day.
Yeah.
How is it to feel like your older siblings, one of them being autistic, lives in Paris alone, and you get to come and visit?
I mean, it feels surreal whenever I think that there's this life happening here where you're helping me with this restaurant and he's working there and he lives alone. It feels like I wish I was here too every time.
Really?
Yeah. It makes me emotional that I'm not here.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I appreciate being able to come and to see what's happening, even if I can't necessarily be a big part of it.
You know, I don't know if I ever said that, but, you know, we're always asked, like, siblings of autistics, you know, good idea, bad idea. There's all these questions about how do we cope, and how do we handle it, and isn't it unfair, and isn't it hard, and you can get to talking about your experience, but I just want to say that I'm so grateful not just to have Milo, but to have other siblings to talk about it with, because I think it would make it harder. And bless all of the siblings who are just one, you know, just two kids. But it's, maybe you guys are not here, but I love being able to know that when you are here, how much do I complain?
Yeah, but that's why I think, like, first of all, for me, I wish I could do more, but also when I hear how much you're doing.
Well, I mean, it's not.
I mean, I don't mean it in a way of like, Blackers come and complain. That's the least I can do. is listen. But yeah, definitely. I think there's part of me where growing up, I felt like we were a lot at home. Growing up, it felt like crowded at home, especially with Miro and like just our family being loud and being all over the place, kind of.
No, and his program and all of the people.
And everyone was at home, and there were
the homeschool teachers, and there was a lot.
There was always people in and out of the house, but simultaneously I have this, like you were saying earlier, but I couldn't have dealt without having all of you with me during like my whole life.
You know, it just hit me. I always say I don't know life without Milo, but if anyone doesn't know life without Milo, it's
us.
Namir.
Yeah.
Because I technically know life without Milo.
I think we have different experiences of Milo, definitely. with me being more like, and I'm assuming Namid also, being born into it and not necessarily having vivid memories of, like, very real memories of the transition that the parents had to go through, or the or maybe I don't remember because my brain
you're too young,
decided to not remember, or I was just too young, which I think that's most probable. I don't remember like a shock phase or having to go through like an acceptance phase. I just remember it being the way it was. Maybe I remember slightly before sunrise, which is an approach that we did with Milo. Mainly my most real memories were this and after. So it's more, I think there are fears that mom may have or that you may have that I don't think of until I'm maybe put in a situation where I'm like, oh, okay, oh yeah, that also might happen. Like, no, Milo might have a tantrum at this random moment that it never even occurred to me that he, like, even though I've lived them, not that I didn't, but it's not my initial thought.
Yeah. It's not like an ingrained fear or something.
Yeah.
I have a lot of memories of feeling, and so I'm curious to see if you saw it that way too, of feeling like I had to protect you guys, whether it was not Habibi, not from him, like it wasn't like he was dangerous or that he meant to do anything wrong. It's just that whenever he was dysregulated, but also protection from, the embarrassment or like the uncertainty of certain moments, or I always felt like, okay, and I used to call you guys the kids. We're not even that much older. You and I are 6 years apart.
Yeah.
But I think having Milo in the middle,
made it
that. Yeah, it just felt like I was also responsible.
I think
I'd be like, where are the kids? Like mom and
I think you were also on the like if it was like a teams thing or like a spectrum, I don't know how to put it. You were with the parents. Like I feel like the way you went through, like the way we grew up, you were figuring things out with the parents. Like even with all of the programs we did with Milo, you were in the meetings with the parents.
Is that something you would have wanted to be a part of?
Definitely, yeah. Like there were times where I was growing up, but I was young. I don't think I understood what it meant to be in those rooms. But I think families should include everyone, even if it's things that people might not understand. I get that maybe kids need attention, and so maybe it wasn't a possibility. So it's not something that I feel strongly about. If I had been there, I would have enjoyed it, and then that was it. But
what do you remember us, like the whole team in the TV room and you wanting to go in and you weren't
allowed?
I
would hang out behind the door.
You weren't allowed?
It wasn't like, I don't know that I wasn't allowed.
I don't remember.
I wouldn't, like, it's not that I would get yelled. Like, it was just, but I remember it being a bit like this growing up of like, unless there's something, then like get out of the way. Like,
oof, okay.
Not in a heavy bad way.
Right.
Just in a, I wouldn't say I was an easy kid, but I feel like from what I hear,
yeah, you were. From the four of us, you were the easy one, which meant that mom kind of like,
they didn't tell me don't come into the room, but
you understood it.
Yeah, like I would hang out in the entrance of the apartment. I remember I would do puzzles on the floor. And I'd see people go to the bathroom. And that was it. I forgot why we started talking about this, but
were there moments that you felt like,
oh,
I was trying to protect you, or no?
You were with the parents. I think you all tried to protect us.
No, I'm talking about specific moments where the parents were not here, and so I was the responsible one, and so I was always so scared that you guys would get traumatized, or that you would have like a really bad experience of something, and then I would have to explain it. I wouldn't know what to say.
At the end of the day, we saw it. Like, we saw it all. We were there. Like, we were there. Even when you weren't there, we were there.
Yeah.
Like, there were many times where Milo would be overwhelmed by things, and he'd have whatever reaction he'd have, or we'd have, like, whatever it is. I don't know, maybe part of why I feel like my visceral thoughts or like way of thinking of Milo are not those things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's partly due to how you
no, it has nothing to do with me.
I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure it's so many things that played into the way that me and Namir have. I think Namir has a similar way of a similar experience of it than I do.
No, I mean, we'll get Namir on the podcast. He has a very unique way of seeing Milo.
Yeah.
What would you say? So, what would you say played the biggest part in how you understood Milo or knew how to be with him? Was it mom and copying her? Was it being with Milo? Like, do you remember them explaining autism or, talking about Milo? Or
I think mainly it was what felt like Milo, like what he enjoyed us doing, kind of. Not enjoyed, but being with him. The things he liked. And then there are things, of course, that if I wanted to be doing that with my older brother, then I would kind of push a bit extra if I could. Like, if I felt like it wasn't what he wanted, then I'd stop. Like, I enjoy... So Milo is a chef, obviously. Like, I'm sure people know. And he likes to cook, and I like to bake. But I'm not a great baker. I just enjoy baking. And so every now and then I'll push him to be with me in the kitchen to do a few things. It turns out however it turns out, but we do it. The last few years, for the last however many years, on my birthday we would do brownies or whatever it is. I enjoy doing that. I don't know that he does, because he's off in summer and maybe he doesn't want to be baking. But
you found your way of bonding, and so you feel like through that you understood him.
Whenever it felt like we could bond, I would bond with him. And then, I'd mimic mom kind of in the ways that she would handle some situations. You as well. I think we all kind of figured it out on the spot also, more than learned. Like, we learned, through some of the programs. I did the Sunrise program, so I think that helped also in some ways, whether with Milo or even with Tilo, like just the energy that they that I learned from this course was that I learned how to use Annie from this course was helpful.
So you are today a teacher for 2-year-olds at a preschool in Dubai. You always said you wanted to be a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And then you went through different career paths. Yes. And now you're studying your master's in education and you're a teacher.
Yeah.
Do you think you wanting to be a teacher had anything to do with Milo?
It had to do with everything. It had to, for me, and I love how we grew up, and I love the way that the parents did their best, and like we have a very nice bond, I find, and I'm so grateful for that. But the house was, like I said earlier, like so overwhelming for me, and I tend to think of myself as someone who's slightly more on the anxious side, and so it was a lot going on, and there was no structure, and every now and then it would change, and suddenly our living room would become this big play area, and then suddenly new people are coming in and out, and they're all young and emotional and doing so many things, And so for me, school was a very safe, structured
Oh, wow. I had no idea about this.
place where every student had the teachers had to give every student their time and their space and whatever it is that I enjoyed. And so, no, from a young age, I remember always telling mom, like, I want to be a teacher when I grow. I remember all my teachers. I'm sure a lot of people do, but
I definitely do not remember the teachers. I only remember the ones I did not like.
Also, like, I love what I do. And I find being a teacher, you know how they say, like, it takes a village, and I feel like we've spoken about this before, of whether it's moms or just things in general, like, you need people to do so many different things. And I needed my teachers, and so I like being that for
wow,
them.
that's so sweet. I didn't know that. What do you think you're now bringing to your students that you think is very you, or that inspired you from having, maybe having a disabled person at home? Do you think you're teaching that in some way, or is it your energy?
I think it's many things. I think, first of all, I think because I work with very young children, it's kind of the age where some kids might be more advanced than others. At this age, it starts kind of being more evident because some of them the year after are going to school and some of them aren't, and stuff like that. And so I think I have more... the school I work at is great, and they're very similar to the way that I think. They have very similar mentalities. But I think there's more leniency in some kids maybe being slower with some things. The concept of believing that they can do it always, and focusing on their strengths as opposed to the things that they can't do, which I feel like we did a lot with Milo growing up. I think those are the major aspects in which, when I teach, are more evident. But then, yeah, just in general, the way that, I was taking this course on where I did a project on inclusion, and this one girl based in the US was telling me that she was gonna start working with children with special needs in a school, and she was like, "Do you have any tips?" And all I could think of was, you have to love them. Like, you have to, I don't know if you have that with your work, but like any child you work with, because they're gonna be, especially at this, like, no, at all ages, honestly, I don't know, but but like they're not gonna always want to learn, and they're not gonna always, and they're gonna do all of the things that you go into your days saying, we're not gonna do this today, and you have to literally look at them, and I don't know, that's how I feel.
So do you feel like you choose to love the kids?
There are times when you're tired and you're anxious or whatever it is that you're feeling, and they're doing some things that maybe are things that you've tried to get them not to do in 50 gentle and kind ways, and they just keep doing them, and they're hurting other kids maybe, or hurting themselves, hurting you, like, and just in this moment to just
lead with love.
Yeah, literally, to just love them.
You're so right. I totally agree. And I even feel that way whenever I'm about to meet a new child or adult.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's ignorance that scares us, like, what is this? And whether it's ignorance of, like, who's in front of me, or ignorance of, shoot, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I've used all of my cards.
Exactly.
And now I'm stuck. Always lead with love. Because at the end, that's what they're going to feel. And we can be assertive and loving. Tab, I'd love to know your take on what teaching actually means to you. Because we've come to learn through Milo and through our line of work and working with families is that most of the time, whether it's parents or caregivers, we tend to forget because of this certain diagnosis that things can be taught. It's not because there's a difficulty, it's not because there's a disorder that we get to just straight off the bat say, it's not possible, or I tried, it's not working, so let me just settle.
No, yeah.
And so I'm always trying to rethink, okay, so what does teaching mean? And what are the different environments that it can happen in? How can it happen?
For me, teaching, you're creating pathways in the brain. It's like the basis of. I love the creative aspect of teaching, and so for me, it's like you can find all of the different ways to create those connections in the most, so they're as strong as they can be. And maybe you have to do it so many times, and maybe you have to do it. Like if I don't feel like some students are able to grasp a certain concept, then like you can do it all throughout the day while they're eating their snacks before they leave, between activities, as a song, as a like in one of our classes, one of the students had trouble with numbers, and so the teacher wore the like a number, like a piece of paper with a number on it all day long, and every now and then she'd ask a question or she'd do whatever, and she'd be like, call me 1 today, or call me 2, or whatever it is. And it's those things that help build those connections in a way that isn't just them memorizing a sound and just saying it out loud whenever you.
As you're talking, you have the biggest smile on your face, so that shows me that you enjoy teaching, or at least you enjoy it in that way.
Yeah,
maybe that creative way. Do you think it's important to enjoy teaching? And if you don't, can it still be effective?
I think everyone does better when they're happy doing what they're doing. And
because we always talk about how much the kid has to enjoy it, right? Like that's like, okay, use their interests. Like we know that. It's been like shoved down people's throats. But I don't feel like people talk about
use their interests, but use yours. Do what you like also. Like I think it's important to. I think the reason that I love what I do is because I also do the things that I like, and the things that the kids like. Like I love art, and so for me, using artistic things to teach makes me and the kids happy, because I know that they enjoy it as well, and I try to think of ways where they're gonna be doing what they like. And if you enjoy it, they learn better because they see that spark. And I feel like with Milo, we always had that, where even Lynette growing up would tell us, you need to be excited, because what better way to learn than if someone's super excited about something in front of you.
Yeah. You mentioned Lynette, so now I want to go there. What was your experience of Lynette and having someone? So maybe let me just give a small background. So Lynette, Dr. Lynette Louise, is my mentor and was the family therapist, let's say, who helped my parents and my brother a lot. The main thing that Lynette did with our parents was she really supported them in teaching them how to be better for Milo. And that was done through so many ways. And that's what we're essentially teaching with BioPlay. So you, Yasmine, also got to see parents change and learn. And I find that to be a beautiful experience to see, because at least in my perspective, it just made me feel like, one, as a parent, I'm allowed to mess up. I'm allowed to change. I'm allowed to ask for help. I'm allowed, and I should, have people come in and criticize me even.
Yeah.
And be tough on me to get to the results I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really nice thing to see as kids. And so I held Lynette very highly because of that, and I thought it was so cool what she did.
It was really cool. Lynette she came in and she just changed everything.
Yeah, but you as a little sister, what was that like to? Because I always, I feel like I've said that story so many times of, this lady would come in and like come and fix the whole family. And
so at first I did when I was younger. I don't know how old I was when she first started coming, like when we met her.
You were less than 10.
Yeah. I didn't understand who she was, like what she did. I didn't know her job. Like, she was just this lady that came and suddenly wanted to know everything about my life. And about my she'd just sit there and talk to my whole family about all of her.
Yes, because Lynette helped everyone in the family.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Milo, and it was her way of teaching that he's not the only broken one.
Yeah.
And we all have to fix ourselves first.
Exactly. Which was incredible. And she came in and she was so confident. She would just come in as if it was her house and just took the not in a bad way. I appreciated that about her because we needed that.
When you did what, the confidence?
Je sais pas, she was so certain. Yeah, Milo can do this. Yeah, like, oh, you're good. No, you're good. Like, I would be so anxious. Like, and I was a very anxious kid, and she'd be like, you're fine. Like, let's do this, and like we did neurofeedback, which helped me so much. Even though at first I wasn't a huge, I was like, I can fix myself. I don't need this.
Yeah.
Which I did need it. Because I had this view of not understanding fully what she was doing. I mean, I felt like it felt like I was a witness. More than, I don't know what experience you had of it. Yeah, like it felt like I was witnessing something, and every now and then, like, I would be a part of it, and then...
Do you still feel like you're a witness?
No, but it's, I mean, I feel like that because I'm not in Paris in some ways, of course, because there's only so much I can do to help. Après, I do what I bond with Milo when I get the chance to, and we speak on the phone. I think it's more when it came to Lynette specifically that I think to her there were aspects of the way that she did things where I was I believed in it, but I was also with a step back.
Why?
Like I said, because I had this thing of...
I think a lot of people have a step back, so maybe you can speak to that.
But there was an aspect, first of all, of I can handle it. Like I can do it without the neurofeedback, and I don't know what you want me to do. Like, why is this machine gonna help me more than I can help myself? Like, what? Basically, for me, I viewed it as like, if I have this anxiety, it's here for a reason. Why are you taking it away? So that was an aspect of it. I think I find myself to be kind of in the middle of more logical, needing like a roadmap to things, and more, lead with love and this type of mentality. And so sometimes if she would go too much towards the lead with love, I'd be like, wait, but I need structure. Like I what do you mean? How do I do this?
Yeah.
And so I think there were times where I didn't understand some of the things that she said because I didn't know how to apply them.
Mm-hmm. Is there, to finish this off, a small story you want to share of you and Milo, or something you wish people understood about him? Or
I feel like with Milo, he was my older brother, but also my younger brother in some ways. It's important to remember that.
Remember that he's older, you mean?
Yeah, to keep that and to give him that
role.
That role, yeah, exactly. That identity and to have it for myself as well. And yeah.
That's nice. Thanks, Yasa.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
This was All Brains Grow. Thanks for joining us. You can head to allbrainsgrow.com/podcast for more resources and support. This show was produced and edited by Alina Fansa and myself, Leloa. Music by Blue Dot Sessions.